Our story begins on Tatooine as Maul is flying his ship into the sandy world, landing on the outskirts of the Junlin Wastes to begin his search for Obi Wan Kenobi. Recently, Maul has learned that Kenobi survived the Purge, using Ezra Bridger to merge a Jedi and a Sith holocron, giving both of them access to the answer to one great question that they both had. Ezra asked the holocrons how to destroy the Sith. Maul asked them if Kenobi was still alive. And as the holocrons merged, they both received the same answer. The answer to destroying the Sith is on Tatooine. The answer to whether or not Kenobi lives is also on Tatooine. So, Maul landed here, and he began his long quest to find his old enemy. But out in the stars, aboard an Imperial Star Destroyer flowing through hyperspace, an Imperial commander would inform Lord Vader that the ship rumored to belong to Maul has been spotted in the Outer Rim, entering Tatooine. Vader was silent as he processed this information. For a long time, he and the Empire have been searching for Maul's ship. It wasn't until now that Maul finally got sloppy and revealed himself, and Vader could only wonder what would be so important to Maul that he would fail to hide from the Empire, and what could possibly be on Tatooine. Vader wanted to learn the answer for himself, so he told the captain on board to have his ship prepared for a mission, and have the two Inquisitors on board to be ready. They will all go to Tatooine, and although the planet was large, Vader decided the first area to check anything out would be the Lars homestead, home of Anakin Skywalker's family. Maybe Maul was trying to draw out Vader by going to them, Vader thought. And back on the heat-scorched world of Tatooine, as the twin suns were soon setting for the night, Maul was secretly following the young Ezra Bridger. Maul drew Ezra to this world, knowing that he would search for Kenobi and fail. And when Ezra failed, passing out in the sand, Maul waited and waited until a hooded man scooped up the young Jedi. Maul smiled under his hood, laughing silently to himself, following the man back to his camp. And soon a single Imperial shuttle would emerge from space, flying into Tatooine. Vader was here. He could feel Maul's presence. And back in the camp, Obi Wan was sitting, tending to his fire, as Ezra woke up and began telling Obi Wan all about he is the one who must come and fight the Sith. Obi Wan knew this was not true, and he was prepping Ezra to leave as Maul appeared to them. So, Ezra left, leaving Kenobi and Maul alone for what both thought would be the final time. They were circling each other as Kenobi told Maul that his desire to take life leaves him with nothing, angering Maul as he put out the fire, ignited his blade, and asked Kenobi what he has. Maul looked around to the dark sand dunes, wondering why Kenobi would come here. Perhaps he is protecting something. No, protecting someone. This finally prompted Kenobi to ignite his own blade, assuring Maul that he was correct. And in the back of Maul's mind, he knew Kenobi had to be protecting someone powerful, perhaps someone capable of fighting the Sith. The Chosen One, Maul wondered. Maul would kill Kenobi. He would train this being in the ways of the dark side. And now both Kenobi and Maul moved their blades in ready position, digging their heels into the sand, knowing their long history ends today. But then, Maul tilted his head, feeling something terrifyingly familiar approaching in the Force. Obi Wan did the same. And then, from a large sand dune beyond them, a single shuttle emerged with its lights shining down on the two adversaries. Inside the shuttle, Darth Vader looked down upon Maul and Kenobi, old rivals from a forgotten era, and Vader landed his shuttle near them, slowly emerging and igniting his own blade. Behind him were the Inquisitors Marrok, the first brother, and the unnamed eighth brother who survived the fight with Maul on Malachor. Kenobi's stomach tightened, knowing what would happen to Luke if he dies today. But through the Force, he felt Maul's anxiety rising as well. For a second, Obi-Wan thought that Maul may have lured the Empire here on purpose. But now, Kenobi could sense that Maul was no friend to the Empire. This meeting was unintentional for Maul, and so, as Vader and the Inquisitors began their approach, Kenobi got to Maul's side, telling him that it appears they have a common enemy in Vader and the Inquisitors. Maul simply had to ask, is he Skywalker? Kenobi gave a small nod, and Maul gripped his lightsaber harder, remembering the fight on Janix many years ago. This dark monster was a truly powerful Sith, and Maul knew he did not stand a chance by himself. Still, with Kenobi next to him, Maul knew he could strike down Obi-Wan right now. But for what? Just to be thrown away in death next to him? Perhaps a fitting way to go. But no, not yet. Maul needed to relish in Kenobi's death, and in order for that to happen, Vader must die first. And ironically, there was no one in the galaxy who knew how Maul fought better than Kenobi. Perhaps they would make a good team. Kenobi told Maul to first take out the Inquisitors. He will hold off Vader until Maul is done with them. Maul looked at Marok, remembering their old meetings, and he told Kenobi it would be his pleasure. So Maul drew them away, while Kenobi and Vader approached each other. Vader told Kenobi this was a smart place for a rat like him to go into hiding, the one place he would never expect. But it is such a shame that he spent these years wasting his life away, while there is an entire rebellion out there, suffering under the weight of his empire. Kenobi had no real words for Vader. Anything he said could point Vader towards Kenobi's true purpose here. And at this point, there was very little thought in Obi-Wan's mind that Vader could ever be Anakin again. So he moved in, and their new duel began. As Kenobi held his blade up to block the first heavy strike from Vader, he saw Maul battling the Inquisitors in the distance. Maul moved first towards the Inquisitors, spinning both sides of his blades to deflect their strikes with the patience of someone who'd survived many terrible years. Marok and the Eighth Brother split apart to trap him between their spinning blades, but Maul backed into the slope of a dune, letting the loose sand work against them as they glided down it. The Eighth Brother grew tired of Maul's patience, launching into the air, saber snapping from Maul's neck, while Marok dove in with quick strikes from the front. Maul ducked beneath the spinning saber, then caught Marok's blade and kicked a boot into his chest before yanking the Eighth Brother out of the air with the Force, slamming him into the rising dune. Maul moved instantly, smashing the Inquisitor's weapon and cutting through his midsection. Maul watched the Eighth Brother fall into two pieces, rolling down the hill, and Marok ran in from behind. But Maul spun low again, ignited the second end of his saber, twisting his blade to force Marok into the sand. Then he crushed his wrist beneath his boot and cut him down beside the smoking sand as green mist emerged from the fallen Inquisitor. Maul then turned to see Kenobi and Vader in the distance, Skywalker and Kenobi. Across the night sand, Obi Wan was giving ground to the Dark Lord as Vader swung hard with blows that seemingly sliced through the air. Every swing came with heavy wind that was throwing sand around. But Kenobi did not carry fear in this fight. Vader attacked with every strike crashing down, with enough strength to split the ground itself. But Obi-Wan met each blow carefully, angling Vader's blade into the sand, stepping aside from killing swings, refusing to answer rage with a mistake. Vader drove him toward a canyon wall, slashing through a stone pillar, sending dust and rocks crashing between them. Obi-Wan used the falling debris as cover, rolling through the dust, striking twice at Vader's chest panel with a quick strike. One blow sparked against the armor, marking Vader's breathing hitch for a second, and Vader answered by dragging and kicking Kenobi, then pulling him across the sand with the Force. But Kenobi stabbed his blade into the ground, holding himself in place. He ripped his saber free just in time, turning aside another strike, feeling himself losing. But then Maul entered, fighting on Kenobi's side. He flew in crashing into Vader, and as Vader rose, he looked at the two old enemies, standing together against him. Obi-Wan finally took on the offensive role, striking with wide strikes as Maul swung with a powerful spin and stab. Vader was forced to defend from both directions. He lifted his blade to stop Kenobi's strikes, then lifted a hand to stop Maul's spinning attack an inch from his mask. Vader held them both back at once, his armor creaking before he pushed them both back. Obi-Wan and Maul slid across the stone floor, resetting for a moment. Vader called upon his anger as he began ripping shards of stone from the ground with the Force. But Maul leapt over the rising rock, kicked the back of Vader's knee, and Obi-Wan struck his chest panel once more, sending sparks bursting out from the armor. Together they pushed him into a cave, carved into the canyon wall. Vader swung with both hands to break them apart, but Obi-Wan ducked beneath it. Maul jumped over it, and their blades struck from opposite sides into his shoulder armor. Vader stumbled a step, and both Kenobi and Maul felt like they had him. But Vader refused to fall. As Maul lunged in for the killing blow, Vader slammed his hand into the ground, sending a violent wave of sand, exploding into Maul's face and eyes. Maul cursed as he swung blind, and Vader seized him with the Force, throwing him through the cave wall with a loud crash. Obi-Wan moved to help, but Vader was already on him, driving him back into the cave with blow after blow. And inside, Vader used the narrow space to his advantage, cutting through stone walls as they collapsed into Obi-Wan's path, as he began ripping chunks from the ceiling to hurl at him. Obi-Wan survived by just inches, turning aside one rock, ducking another. Then another crashed hard into his ribs. He dropped to a knee, and Vader reached out his hand, lifting Kenobi in a forced choke. Obi-Wan was lifted into the air, grasping at his neck, searching for his breath. But then his eyes drifted out of the cave for a moment, and Obi-Wan saw Maul slowly climb to his feet, looking towards him for one brief moment. And then, he turned towards Vader's shuttle, climbing inside and leaving Kenobi alone in Vader's grip. And so as Vader closed his fist once more, taking his time with these final moments, Obi-Wan was faced with a choice. He knew where Maul was going, because Maul knew that Kenobi was protecting someone important. He was going to steal Luke Skywalker. So, as his throat was closing, Kenobi muttered the words, "Maul is going for your son." And Vader dropped Kenobi to the floor instantly, demanding to know what he just said. And as Kenobi got his breath back, he gambled everything he'd been protecting for the last many years, telling Vader he was on Tatooine to protect the child of Anakin Skywalker. And right now, Maul is going to him. Vader had more questions than he could count, but right now, he knew he could not let his child fall into the hands of Maul, so he would allow Kenobi to rise, demanding the Jedi Master bring them both to young Skywalker. Without Vader's ship, the journey would not be so easy. Luckily, Obi-Wan had a speeder, though it was not nearly as fast as the TIE fighter that Maul stole, and so as the speeder flew through Tatooine, with Vader and Kenobi silently inside of it, Obi-Wan felt as if he'd failed. Over 15 years of watching Luke, just for both Maul and Vader to learn about him on the same day. Obi-Wan knew there was only one way out of this now. Vader and Maul would have to die, allowing Luke to be a Jedi in due time. And as the speeder continued on through the night, Vader was angry that Kenobi hid this child, but it obviously made sense. If he knew about Luke, the boy would have been raised under Sidious, and ultimately, he would have replaced him at the Emperor's side. It was an uncomfortable truth. So Vader decided that when he has Luke in his grasp, the Emperor will not be informed about it. But when they arrived at the Lars homestead, it was already too late. The home was smoking from a large interior fire. The bodies of Owen and Beru were slumped down in a corner, with their blasters next to them. They did their best to protect Luke, but Maul was simply far too strong. Obi-Wan would personally bury both of them, knowing their deaths had so much to do with himself. Vader could only wonder where Maul had taken Luke to, and Obi-Wan told Vader that they must find him, and they must do it together, because both of them know what will happen if the Emperor finds Luke first. Maul training Luke in the ways of the dark side is nothing compared to what Sidious could do. So, despite their years of differences and their major differences in what both of them wanted for Luke, Vader and Kenobi agreed to work together, for now. Vader would go back to his empire, he would act like everything is normal. Sidious would be told that Kenobi is dead, but Maul escaped. Probe droids would have to be sent out to hunt for Maul, and during that time, Kenobi would also search for them. Vader would give Obi-Wan a special comlink, meant exclusively for them to contact each other, and it would only be used when one of them finds Maul. And once Maul and Luke are discovered, the rematch between the trio would begin. So for the next year, Maul and Luke Skywalker would live on a world called Demonos, a forgotten world of black stone, violent storms and ancient temple ruins, buried beneath stone and ash-colored forests. Maul chose it because it was not important enough for the Empire to care about, but it was old and strong enough in the Force to embrace the kind of darkness that he wanted Luke to feel. At first, on this world, Luke refused to eat or even speak when Maul brought him here. He tried to run away, but every time Maul found him, dragging him back through the cold rain of this world. Luke hated Maul for killing Owen and Beru, and Maul never denied what he had done. But eventually, after many months, Luke began to listen, and Maul would begin to train him in the dark side of the Force, teaching him how to use a lightsaber, how to use the Force, how to become powerful, like his father once was. All the while, Vader and Kenobi searched in their own ways. Vader did return to the Empire, pretending Kenobi was dead, and Maul had simply escaped, while secretly sending probe droids across every forgotten system, tearing through every criminal contact that he had. Kenobi was searching through old ports in the Outer Rim, listening to whispers from the underworld, with very little luck. Maul had no friends anymore, no one knew where he could be. But Vader's secrecy did not go unnoticed. Sidious, of course, felt the deception in Vader's words when he returned to Tatooine, and he felt something shift in Vader, something that reminded Sidious of Anakin. And at the end of this full year, one of Vader's probe droids finally descended through the storm clouds of Demonos. It scanned the broken temples, and it found Luke fighting in the rain. Maul crushed the droid a moment too late, and the signal would escape the world. But it didn't go to Vader. It was instead intercepted by Sidious, who watched the footage and smiled at the sight of Skywalker's son being trained by his former apprentice. Vader had hidden a son from him, Maul had stolen him away, and so the Emperor would leave for Demonos himself. And on that world, shortly after destroying the Imperial probe droid, Maul was trying to organize the evacuation for him and Luke when the Star Destroyer emerged from hyperspace. It did not take Maul long to sense the presence approaching. This was not Vader. This was something far worse. Maul was trapped on this world with Luke, and there was no way the two of them would be a match for Darth Sidious. So Maul went against all of his better judgment, closing his eyes in meditation, reaching out with his mind across the galaxy, searching for the man he was connected to unlike anyone else remaining in this galaxy, Kenobi. Maul reached out, and far away on a blackwater moon of Dojara, Kenobi would feel his call come to him like a vision. Maul spoke the name of the world he was on, and Kenobi could see the Star Destroyer, along with the face of the Emperor. The quick vision ended, and Obi Wan knew that if he was going to go and take on Sidious with Maul, they needed even more help. So for the first time since their departure, Obi Wan used the secret comlink that Vader gave to him, reaching out to the Mustafar castle. And back on Demonos, Darth Sidious was standing in the old Sith temple as stormtroopers searched the entire area. Sidious could feel the presence of Maul and a boy, strong in the Force. They were on this world. He was certain of it. They would be found in due time. But deep in one of the hidden crevices of this world, Maul and Luke were hiding, waiting. Luke told Maul they should emerge and fight, but Maul told Luke he has no idea what they're up against. He expects an unexpected ally, though, to return and emerge at any moment. And finally, a new Imperial shuttle did indeed emerge, much to Palpatine's surprise. It landed, and out of the ramp came two beings, Darth Vader and Obi Wan Kenobi. This was what Maul was waiting for and expecting, and he would emerge with Luke Skywalker, lining up in front of the Emperor. Sidious would look upon Vader, Maul, Kenobi, and Luke, knowing he would have to take on all four of them. Sidious looked to his current apprentice, his former apprentice, his old Jedi enemy, and the boy that all of them wanted to claim as their own next apprentice. Vader got in front of Luke, protecting his son, holding his red blade low. Kenobi and Maul stood on Luke's sides. Sidious called them a collection of failures that he will finally discard of, and then lightning burst from his fingers, crawling across the floor, as all four of them scattered away. Vader went straight through the blast, using his own lightsaber to push it aside. Kenobi was using broken pillars as cover as the lightning sprayed around, and Maul was leaping from a ruined balcony, blades spinning towards Sidious's neck. Luke watched all of it happen, seeing now, very quickly, he was not experienced enough to do this. Sidious moved faster than Luke had ever seen, catching Maul's saber, blocking the older Obi Wan, twisting away Vader's brutal strikes as they shattered the floor where he'd been standing. Sidious spun away looking at Luke, and he flew in at the young boy, as Luke confidently held up his own red lightsaber, given to him by Maul. Vader moved to protect him, abandoning any defense, and for a moment he drove Sidious backward. Maul and Obi Wan watched as Vader struck through the dust and cut across Sidious's shoulder, drawing the first real wound. But Sidious used this opening by sending lightning straight into Vader's chest panel, freezing him in place before driving his lightsaber through Vader's chest. Vader fell, but before he died, he seized Sidious with the Force, slamming him through 3 stone pillars with his dying strength. Vader collapsed, taking a final look at his son, telling the others to finish it. Sidious rose, injured and limping, as Vader died, only for Maul to attack with everything he had, forcing the Emperor back with furious spins, kicks, and strikes. But Maul wanted to kill him too badly, and Sidious punished him for this aggressiveness, cutting his left wrist off with his own saber. Maul screamed out in pain, then drove his own saber into Sidious's side, injuring him even more, before lightning tore through Maul's chest, stopping his heart and killing him. Then Kenobi stepped forward, calm but exhausted, watching Sidious stumble forward, shoulder barely hanging on, his side cut open, his chest and back scarred from the crash into the pillars. And Obi Wan knew, even with Sidious weakened, that he was too strong. especially at Obi-Wan's age. Sidious moved in, and Obi-Wan deflected the first strikes, but the Emperor drove his blade through Kenobi's thigh, cutting across his leg, then pouring more lightning towards his chest. But with a final move, Obi-Wan caught the lightning into his own hands, then reached forward for Sidious's lightsaber, pouring the lightning out into the hilt. The Emperor's lightsaber exploded in a burst of fire, light, and red sparks before being thrown aside. Sidious landed near Luke, burned, defeated, but Kenobi was dead. Luke was alone. Vader, Maul, Obi-Wan, gone. Sidious barely got to his feet across from him, burned, bleeding, damaged, but still alive. He told Luke to look at what the Jedi and Sith had given him. Nothing but death. He told Luke to see how strong he is in the dark side. But Luke thought of Owen, Beru, Maul dragging him through the rain, Vader, Obi-Wan standing between him and the Emperor until their final breath. His anger was massive, but Luke didn't let it control him. He raised his blade with both hands, then, using the power of those who died for him, he cut through the Sith Lord's frail, weakened, injured body. He would not leave as an innocent farm boy, nor even as Maul's apprentice, because the darkness had not won in the end. Luke carried pieces of all of them, despite not truly knowing Vader or Kenobi, and for a long time, Luke would be on his own from here. But eventually Obi-Wan would begin to appear to him, teaching Luke how to move forward, teaching Luke many lessons of Vader, Maul, the Old Republic, so much that Luke needed to learn. And so the Jedi would begin to return differently. Luke wouldn't build an order that pretended fear and attachment did not exist. He would build one for survivors, rebels, former prisoners of the Empire, beings who had touched darkness like Luke, but wanted to find the light. Their temple would be a refuge on an ocean world, where students trained under open skies and learned history. Luke taught them that the light was a choice, and across the galaxy, Leia Organa would soon rise as one of the great leaders of the restored Republic. While Luke rebuilt the Jedi, Leia rebuilt trust between worlds that only knew fear and occupation from the Empire, as she and Luke began coming together as the rebellion truly emerged, taking down the Empire. She built a republic that remembered how it had fallen, and there was a Jedi Order that served the people without belonging to the politicians. And in time, the brother and sister duo stood together before the galaxy, with the bloodline that helped to restore the light. And folks, that is our story for today. One with a thumbnail I've had done for a long time, but I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to do with the story, and eventually I think I found a path I enjoyed, where it's, it kind of results in all three of them, Vader, Kenobi, Maul. I wanted them to come together and ultimately give themselves for Luke, not because they, Maul doesn't really care about Luke, but I wanted to do it in a way that they all give themselves to destroy Sidious, because, everyone hates Sidious, so that was the goal of the end of the story, I suppose. Does it sound better when I'm this close to the mic? Just kind of, I can hear it in my headphones. Anyways, Key and Peele's good. Anyways, alright, time to go. Appreciate you guys. I need an energy drink, so yeah. I'm gonna go edit this and post it, and I hope you guys like it, and I hope you guys like all the videos. Bye.